This is the man that can do it all, even dribble a bowling ball. The man that doesn't do push ups. I do earth downs. The one and only Don Fernando. And I'm drinking at Moe's.
This is Drinkin at Moe's, where we talk about the pros of pro wrestling in the Midwest while sipping on some brews with blessed beers and wrestling. That's my scene. Death matches and lucha libre, it's all so mean. I'm a straight up smart goofball, not no kiss ass. I stand tall when it comes to wrestling. I'm the king. I know every move, every fling. Get ready for a wild time with Drinkin at Moe's, where we don't quit. Drinkin at Moe's, that's where it's at, like a power bomb. We hit hard, never flat. Fucking right, we're living the dream. Talking about wrestling, know it's a scream.
You know, I've always said here at Drinkinatmos, just because it says drinking at Moe's does not mean it has to be alcoholic. So I'm happy to say Drinking at Moe's is sponsored by Prince Nana Coffee. The exact same guy you see every week on Dynamite, on Collision. Yes, he has his own coffee, and it's freaking delicious. They don't even roast those beans until you've placed your order. And you might be telling me, hey, Big Mo, I'm more of a tea guy. They got you covered there too. Use the referral link in the description of this video. And let's get you dancing like Prince Nana with Prince Nana Coffee. All right, everybody, welcome to Drinkin at Moe's. Big Mo here. You know the drill. YouTube, like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good stuff. Don't forget that I haven't even drank that much, and I'm already fumbling over my words. Don't forget about the bell, notifications, all that good stuff. Don't forget about the audio platforms. Now that rigmarole is out of the way, I'm excited to have with me, and I'm gonna try to do it justice. Don Fernando. Yeah, I got it. I'm excited to have you with me, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How's everything going with you?
Oh, I can't complain. We talked a little bit about some of the stuff, before we started recording, some potential big stuff on the way. So we'll see how that airs, plays out. I'm excited. But first thing I like to start off with everybody when they first come on the show is what got you started as a fan, and then what got you deciding to make the leap into the business?
Oh, I love this question. So my fan experience is a little different than most people's because my first time actually watching wrestling wasn't actually the TV show, and it wasn't ever a live event. My first time being experienced to wrestling was watching my cousins play one of the SmackDown versus Raw games back in the day.
You're not the first one that I've heard tell me something similar to that, where their first experience was actually one of the video games, and then they went to the TV part.
Yeah. My first experience was seeing a guy who I later figured out was the Undertaker giving somebody a tombstone pile driver. I guess my cousin was playing as him, and he gave him the tombstone, and I was like, what is this? But that was like my very first memory. My first time actually watching wrestling that really got me into it was the moment when Randy Orton had won the World Heavyweight title, and Triple H was telling him to give it back to him, and he spit in his face and ran up the audience and did the pose and everything, and it was like, whoa, okay, this is the coolest thing ever. Like, what is this? And so I started to watch it religiously after that. And what I like to say is because my brothers and I got four brothers, and we all used to wrestle and watch wrestling growing up. And I always like to say they kind of grew out of it, and I just never did, because they went on to do, like football and all that kind of stuff. They don't watch wrestling anymore, but I just never grew out of it.
That same way with me. My brother and I got my brother into it a little bit, but then he grew out of it, and I just never did. The way life works sometimes, I guess.
Does he still watch now, or like, do you all ever talk about it?
Not really. I mean,
No.
I mentioned some of the stuff that I do with this, or like, oh man, I gotta see so and so. I got to go watch this happen. That's about the end of it.
Yeah, yeah. With my brothers, I mean, and they're not disrespectful towards it because they know I do and I love it. So they don't make any crude remarks. But to
Oh
them,
yeah,
it's like, very casual. They'll go, "How did your competition go over the weekend?"
yeah,
you know, "How did
yeah.
your game go? How did your game go?" That's one of my favorites. "How did your game go over the weekend?" It was good. It was good.
Oh yeah. No, I've had I have similar with my siblings where like they know that I like it and they're not gonna you know badmouth me for liking it. And
Yeah.
although I my mom has tried to say, oh, you now that you have a kid, you're gonna have to blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I not to say that I don't make my kid a priority. I very
Yeah.
much do, but my wife and I got a system out where like, you know, once or twice a week I schedule somebody for this. And then if she wants to go have a hang out with girls night going with some friends that she hasn't seen in a little bit, it's like, yeah, you go do that. I got him. We got our system. How do we make it work? But when you know speaking of when you got actually making the decision to make the leap into the business, how did that come about? Because I know when I was growing up, I would hear some about, oh, there's actual wrestling schools out there, but
Mhm.
then you at the time, at least, if you wanted like a good one, you'd have to be traveling like halfway across the country.
Yeah.
But now it's like no matter what region of the country you're in, you you don't really have to look too hard to find a reputable school out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very fortunate because I'm from Texas and we are just rich with not only wrestling history and wrestlers that have come out of here, but
Yeah.
wrestling schools, like you said. But as far as how I made the leap, I mean, I always say there was three major points with it, right? So number one was the moment I decided, okay, I really want to do this. Was at the time, I might have been, I think, maybe 16 or 17 years old. Bray Wyatt had
Mm-hmm.
converted Daniel Bryan into the Wyatt family. Remember that
Oh
short
yeah,
period?
that whole yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he had converted him into the Wyatt family. And at the time, I'm already reading the dirt sheets. I'm reading the behind the scenes stuff because I'm trying to figure out, this or that or the other. And there was a report that came out that they were going to turn, Daniel Bryan back babyface because they were embarrassed because everybody was doing the yes chant everywhere, like at soccer games and football games and all this kind of stuff. So that was the first time I realized, like, oh, fans can change the direction of storylines, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
it led to the moment they're in the steel cage. He ends up taking off the overalls and beats up, the Wyatt family in the steel cage. And he starts doing the yes chant. And if you can watch the video back, but there's not a single person sitting down.
Oh,
Everybody's standing doing the yes chant at the same
oh yeah.
exact time with Daniel Bryan. And I'm, I'm in my, my room doing it with him.
Yeah.
And he hits the knee and the crowd explodes. He gets on top of the cage, starts doing the yes chant. And I'm getting chills right now, man. I got chills. And I remember thinking, man, I want to make people feel like this. I
Yeah.
want people to feel that way. And that was the moment, that was the moment I decided. I never was the kid that was like, I want to be a police officer or, an attorney or whatever.
Yeah.
I never knew what I wanted to do. But when that moment happened, that was the moment I realized, like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm meant to do.
Mm.
The second instance was, because now I'm already trying to figure out, okay, I got to go to a wrestling school. I've watched enough documentaries and seminars and all this kind of stuff to figure
Yeah.
out there's wrestling schools, right? Because before I thought it was just WWE. Um, and a friend of mine who I went to high school with, he got tagged on Facebook and it was him doing a backflip in a wrestling ring. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm going through his page and I see he's in a wrestling ring and he's wrestling in my hometown. So I'm from a small town outside of Corpus Christi, Texas. So my hometown, that's where this was going on, and reached out to him and I asked like, hey, how do I get involved with this? Hey, here's the guy, and I got involved. And just to be quite frank with you, Mr. Big Mo, it was not a reputable wrestling school, and I was trained completely wrong. There was a lot of stuff that was put into my head as an 18-year-old kid that was completely wrong and not the right way to do things. And I had to unlearn a lot of those bad habits. But this company had one show every 3 months, and we were to remain exclusive with them.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So there's that, right? And but I'll always credit it for giving me the confidence to realize like, okay, I could do this. I can do this because I'm watching tape and trying to figure out how to teach myself how to do, headlock takeovers and, run the ropes and all this kind of stuff because I wanted to get as good as I possibly could.
yeah.
So that was the second moment. And right around 2019, 2020 time period, pandemic hits, world shuts down. Of course, they're not having shows anymore, but then they threw us the whole, we're going to have one show a year and you still have to remain
Oh,
exclusive.
yeah.
Yeah, one show a year. And, they're telling me that, but Cody Rhodes is doing interviews talking about if you're an independent wrestler, you should be trying to get as many reps in as possible every weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm like, who do I listen to? Well, I'm going to listen to the guy who's probably the top star in all of wrestling right now.
Yeah.
And that was before he left to WWE. So um, just happened to find out there was a company in Corpus Christi who, Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, who has brought in a number of big names and some names that, ended up making it to the big time, such as like, Thunder Rosa, Keith Lee, Roxanne Perez, Cody Rhodes himself, Billy Gunn, Brian Cage. I mean, the list goes on, right? They brought in some reputable names. And to add matters to it, Cody Rhodes did an interview where he said, they asked him, how did you build the roster of AEW? How did you know what independent guys you wanted to use? And he goes, well, I wrestled this guy in Corpus Christi at this company called Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance. His name was Sammy Guevara. And I remembered him. We only wrestled the one time, but we had chemistry. And I said, he's a guy that we need to have in this company. And I found out that the promoter of GCWA likes to give guys his big opportunities like that. So Sammy was one of his guys. He gave him that shot, and look where Sammy's at now.
Yeah.
So I said, man, what's going to happen if I'm stuck over here with this promotion that only does one show a year? And there's guys like Cody Rhodes coming through that I could potentially wrestle and maybe take that leap of faith to go to the big time. So I knew at that moment I got to go over there. And luckily I got trained correctly and had to unlearn all those bad habits. And now we're off to the races.
That is the trick of it when you get it done, air quotes, the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there is a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And I've definitely been to some shows that, like, out of respect for other people on the card, I'm not gonna name the place because, yeah. But
same.
Let's just say somebody made an attempt at a 619 and it had to be the sloppiest attempt I've ever seen in my life.
Oh.
Like that's a move right there that, like, when done right, it can look so crisp, clean, and just like effortless. But when you do it bad, oh God, is it bad?
Yeah. My girlfriend is slowly converting her. She's never been a wrestling fan. And I've slowly just been converting her, getting her to watch stuff here or there, right?
Yeah.
But I always tell her there's a huge difference between, bad wrestling or wrestling where you can tell the person isn't trained and professional wrestling. There's a huge difference. And I showed her a clip the other day. I don't know if you follow the page. It's called I think it's called like trash pro wrestlers or douchebag wrestlers.
Trash bag pro wrestlers.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. There was a certain clip. I won't name names, but there was a certain clip I saw and I showed it to her and I go, look, and there was some stuff that was done in that video that bless their heart, right? But she was like, "Oh my God, like they did that in front of a crowd." And it's like, yeah, this stuff exists. It's a real thing. It's not something I just make up, you know? There's a difference. There really is.
Oh yeah, no, I I got spoiled. My introduction to independent professional wrestling is before I went into the Navy. I had heard about some, and it was always like hour and a half, 2 hours away from me at the time. And while now hour two, it like doable. At
Yeah.
that time, not really. But when I went to the Navy, I got stationed in San Diego, and I just Googled pro wrestling in San Diego, and then off I
Wow.
went. And yeah, I got to see the, a couple different times, a handful of times actually, the now general manager of Raw, Adam Pearce, when he was the NWA champion.
Yeah.
I saw him a handful of times there. And for those that will watch this episode, I tell you, go back and look some of his stuff up during any one of his NWA title runs and tell me that you don't itch for some of that on Raw.
Yep.
Like, I know me, I know he's happy with what he's doing, and hey, that awesome. But yeah, there's a lot of us fans out there that like, man, we'd love to see a little bit of scrap iron on the mic on
Oh yeah.
Monday
Yeah.
night, man.
Yeah. I've studied him and I remember they teased it a while back where he was gonna wrestle Roman. And I was like, oh man, are they really gonna, let the scrap iron come out here? It's gonna be great.
Oh, and I remember uh, when Ronda Rousey was still there, and there was a little bit of an interaction between him
Yeah.
and her, and I saw a little bit of that coming out. I
Yeah.
saw a
Yeah.
little bit. I'm like, oh, we got the goosebumps going. Loved it. But
Yeah, he's doing
I got
amazing.
spoiled. I got spoiled down there. But so one thing I was going to talk about before going into a couple promotions, Gulf Coast in particular, there was something I saw. Like I go with everybody looking through social media, making up my notes, and I saw one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about before we get into all that, and that was I saw from news reporter to wrestler,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I got to ask about this.
Sure, sure. Yeah. So I took a little bit out of the playbook of Chris Jericho and Britt Baker and those types where it's like, oh, okay, so I don't have to have one dream. I can
Yeah.
do both,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Didn't work out that way. But that's where I was at. That's where my headspace was at. At the time, I'm a bit of a smaller guy, and the track record of independent wrestlers going on to make it to the big time, especially as a smaller guy, it's not as good as a big guy making it, right? So I was just trying to be realistic with myself. So
Yeah.
I did go to college for communications because I thought, well, William Regal's always talking about how speaking on the mic is the best way to communicate with fans and form a
Mhm.
connection. So I'll just get involved in radio, face for radio kind of thing. And in doing that and taking those kind of classes, I got, the itch and fell in love with like the media aspect of it. I said, wow, like this is something I can really see myself doing. And I started to form that dream of like, how do I want to make a difference in people's lives? And somehow, some way, I ended up working at a news station just as a, little camera operator, in the studio. You've seen the movies where the guy in the headset's like 5, 4.
Yeah.
I was that
Yeah.
dude. That was me. That's real. That's how that happens. And I would talk with these anchors, and they would tell me like, you got a voice for this. You got to look for this. You got a passion for this. Like, have you ever thought about stepping on this side of the camera? And I would go, yeah, all the time, but I just don't think I got what it takes. And I had a lot of people along the way that encouraged me and said, no, dude, like you should take that leap and do it. And I thank God, that I did get that opportunity to do it. Took that leap of faith, and it was awesome. Like it really, truly was an incredible experience to get to talk to all kinds of people.
Yeah.
We spoke off camera about your work in the service. Like, part of the reason I fell in love with talking with like military personnel is because they had nobody else to talk to about the veterans. So they said, let's throw Fernando in there and just see how it goes, talking with veterans. And I knew nothing about, military service. I don't have anybody in my family that's in the military other than my best friend. He's in the Air Force. But speaking of people who, like were formerly like, MIA or, former like military prisoners and that kind of thing, that had so much respect for their brothers and sisters that served along with them. I mean, it's an experience I could never trade ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever, ever. Because you really get the sense of like, oh wow, like every little thing I do is because of these people, like all the freedoms I have is because of these people, and they're limping or they've got injuries or, like all these kinds of things. They sacrificed literally everything just so I could have what I have. And even to get the opportunity to do this, it's amazing. But yeah, just to fast forward a little bit, I had a match where it was like a fatal four way for a championship, which I was told someone else was winning, but they were playing a rib on me because I was actually going to win. And at
Oh,
the time, yeah, you see where this is going. So at the time, I was like, I'm going to take a break from wrestling for a bit so I can focus on this new stuff, try to get as good as I can. And then once I'm ready, I'll come back and I'll do my thing, right? Well, I got ribbed. I was supposed to hit my finisher, go for the pin. Guy was going to come off he goes, I'm going to come off the top rope and elbow you in the back, push you off, and I'm going to take it. So you see in the video, and I'll send it to you after this. I hit my finisher, I go for the pin, and I close my eyes as tight as I can because I'm like, this is going to hurt.
yeah.
And
Oh, God.
yeah, I was like bracing for it. This is going to hurt. I hear the ref go 1, 2, and the guy I'm pinning goes, congratulations. What? 3.
Love it.
And I'm
Love
like,
it.
what? And the ref gives me the bell. And I'm like, is this an accident? Where's the other guy's name was Ricky. I was like, where's Ricky? Like Ricky never came out. Get to the back, everybody's standing around, including Ricky and the other two guys that were in the match. They're clapping for me. Congratulations, you earned it. And I'm caught between, well, this is an opportunity I've always wanted to be a world champion at a company. And this was a new company that they were really trying to push to the next level. And they just happened to say, hey, man, you're the guy to push it to the level that we want to get it at. And now I have this career on the side. What do I choose? So I decided to choose both, man. I was like, I'm just going to give this my all and try to see what I could do to make it work. But yeah, wrestling and news reporting do not go together. I'll just say that the scheduling,
Yeah.
you have to be as a news reporter, you have to be 24/7 ready to go. I had a call at like 3 in the morning one time because there was a sniper at the top of a hotel shooting down at people. Yeah. 4 in the morning, I had to drive over there to go report on that and figure out and interview the chief and stuff. I mean, imagine if I was in a different city driving back
Yeah.
home, how that would have gone, right?
Yeah.
There was multiple instances where, got really cut it close. Really, I had one instance
Oh,
where same title, defended it in the main event against a guy, and I got dropped really hard on the back of my head, and I'm dizzy and whatever, and I had to drive back home, shower real quick, walk the dogs, and get in my suit and tie to go anchor the news in the morning the next day.
oh wow.
And imagine if you get a tooth knocked out or a black eye or all these kind of
I can imagine getting
yeah.
a black eye and getting on camera. That'd be a little
That's what
nuts.
I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. And even my managers would sit me down and go, "You really want to do this wrestling thing? Like, you sure this is? I mean, we're paying you a lot of money to do what you're doing." And I'd go, "You're right, but I can't. There's an itch here that wrestling
That itch.
scratches that news just cannot. There's loud crowd versus the quiet desk. What are you gonna pick? So that's what it came down to. They just
uh,
don't mend together."
although I will say that I know when I first read that I was like, well, definitely won't be shy in front of a camera
Absolutely.
because yeah,
Absolutely.
you definitely can't be shy in front of a camera with some of the stuff that I can imagine goes on during news broadcasts. I mean, especially if you're in a place with a crowd like that.
Oh yeah.
I can, and I got some questions that I'll ask a little later that wow, words are freaking. I haven't even had a drink today. I'm bumbling over my fucking words. But there's a question relating to that a little later, a little
Sure.
sneak preview on that part. But I did have a thought. Is there similarities between, talking in front of a camera for the news and, talking in front of a camera when you're like doing a retake promo, or like if you're in a crowd for the news, as also like if you're in a crowd, in the middle of a wrestling show. Are there similarities? Because I know, well, they might not mix and being able to do both at the same time.
Yeah.
Are there some similarities there for
I'm
somebody
chuckling
that's
because
actually
yeah,
done it?
I'm chuckling because I have a story that pertains to that. I'll say yes. There are definitely some similarities. The number one similarity is just being confident in front of the camera, like you said. Um, Doing interviews, of course. I'm used to doing this. I had to do a lot of Zoom interviews and talk in front of a camera with somebody and be as Fernando as I possibly can with Mr. Big Mo and learn as much as I can about you and vice versa, right? Because you got to make the other person feel comfortable
Oh
in
yeah,
front of the camera when you do that. Some people it's their first time ever doing it, and sometimes it's like their only time ever, right?
yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. Where it differs, and this is why I was chuckling, is because my very first time in front of the camera as a news reporter, because I learned how to cut promos first, right? I was
Yeah.
a wrestler first. You know, and for me personally, I'm a mic guy. You know what I mean? That's my bread and butter, cutting promos. Uh, well, my first time in front of the camera, it was like this fundraiser thing. We were raising money for these for something. I don't even remember, Education Foundation or something like that. And I was there in front of the mic, and I'm shaking because I'm nervous, and it's my first time, and they had me cut my hair and shave my beard, and I'm not Don Fernando, I'm Fernando Arevalo.
Yeah.
And we go to commercial break, and they're in my earpiece, and they're like, "Hey, great job, whatever." And the photog, who's the guy that holds the camera, he takes me to the side and he goes, "Hey man, I gotta talk to you." I'm like, "What's up?" He goes, "Listen, brother, you're not cutting promos for WrestleMania here. This isn't a WrestleMania promo. Stop yelling at the mic. Stop holding it and moving your hands around, yelling at the mic." You see news reporters, they're like, "Hi, I'm here with so and so." They're not. "And listen up, we're here at like it's completely different tones. You got to be calm and collected and look into the camera. You're not like, "Yeah, we're gonna rumble, me and Big Mo. We're taking it to the top, brother." None of that. Bring it down here, nothing up here. So that would be the main difference, is the tone of how you talk in front of the camera.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
best way to put it.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Now, we mentioned a bit about Texas, the pro wrestling history. I mean,
Sure.
Texas was like a hotbed, and I mean it still is, really, with all the plethora of independent promotions all throughout the state, including the Gulf Coast side of things. Which, I mean, we mentioned a little bit about Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance. What has your experience been like there? For, like, obviously the people in your area that have, fans of yourself will know a little bit about your experience there. But for people outside of the area that, like, this might be their introduction to you, what has your experience been like with Gulf Coast?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of extensive wrestling history here in Corpus Christi. There was a guy who had his first ever wrestling match in front of a crowd here. His name was Dwayne Johnson, and I don't know
Mm.
whatever happened to him, but
Yeah,
I heard he's doing good things or something.
her
You know,
doing
he
pretty
might
good
be
too.
somewhere doing some, I don't know,
I
whatever
saw,
kind of career
yeah,
he's at, you know. But yeah, he had his first ever wrestling match for the WWF, here in
yeah.
Corpus Christi. There's the famous photo where Cody Rhodes is sitting on a staircase with Dusty Rhodes,
Mm.
and then he takes a photo afterward where he's holding the title and Dusty's no longer there. Both those
Oh,
photos were right here in
no
Corpus Christi.
kidding. Like
Yeah,
I've seen that picture where they were side by side. And
yeah,
I guess
yeah.
I hadn't really realized that that was there. That is awesome.
Yeah, in fact, I graduated college from that same building. I recognized the stair steps because our
Hey,
colors here are blue and green, and you can see the blue and green there. But yeah, a lot of wrestling history here. In particular with Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance. Our promoter, who's also the guy who trained me, Ben Galvan. You know, his father was the one that started the promotion. So not only is he a second generation, but also his sons are also wrestling now. So third generation as well, that part of it. But his father was one of the first, as a Hispanic male, back in the day, Hispanic wrestlers were kind of just, you're just one of them luchadors, that's what you do,
yeah,
right?
the
And
Mexicools.
yeah, yeah. His father is not a small man, which is so funny to me because they would call him, like a smaller dude, but he's not a small guy at all. And he was one of the first, like, pioneers of Latino wrestling here in Corpus Christi and in Texas wrestling. But he's held cards with a number of legends here. Like they showed us, Ben showed us a poster with a guy named Cactus Jack and Terry
Mm,
Funk and Ric Flair and Harley Race and you name it. These are the kind of names that would come out here. And every time I hear an interview where one of these guys will go, "Yeah, one time we were in Corpus Christi," I go, "There it is, there it is."
yeah,
Like we're part of the lore. We're just not as big of a city compared to like a Houston, Texas, or a
yeah.
Dallas, but we're still a major city in the United States and in Texas, right?
Oh yeah.
As far as my experience in Gulf Coast Wrestling Alliance, we can just call it GCWA just to shorten
Yeah.
it.
We can get
GCWA. My experience has just been incredible. Like it was definitely the best decision I've ever made in my life because I've gotten the chance to rub shoulders and ask advice from guys who have been there or on their way making it. I'll never forget the day when EC3 walked through our curtain and I was like, holy that's a guy that's been to the
yeah.
WWE and been to TNA and is, he's been what we all call through like he's been a success, quote unquote, right? Like
Yeah.
he's done it. He's been on live television. I
Very
got to
much so.
meet, Brian Cage. I got to meet Vikingo the week after he had his big match with Kenny Omega for the
Oh,
AAA title. Yeah, which is insane. And like I remember when he came up to us, we were all wearing our student shirts, and he shook all of our hands and looked us in the eye. And other guys didn't even do that. They didn't even acknowledge us. And I go, that's a superstar. Like
oh yeah.
he went out of his way to shake our hands, and we're nobodies. We're just students. And some of these other guys, I mean, they haven't been there, but they're not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's been really cool. I've had my biggest match with my biggest name so far here with a guy named Luigi Primo, pizza guy,
Oh, the pizza
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I wrestled
Yeah.
him. He was great. And when we talked afterward, I like to watch all the matches on the card all the way to the main event, just to try to see what I can steal and learn. And I remember he was sitting next to me and we were talking, and he goes, "Yeah, your heel work is great. This one time I was talking to Chris Jericho and I was like, what?" And then, we're still talking. Yeah, this one time I was talking to Brian Danielson. This one time I was talking to Ricky Starks. And I'm just like, okay, I can't watch this. I have to talk to this guy. Like he is given like, holy grail of knowledge from like the legends of the business. Like I have to, be here in the moment with this guy and retain as much information as I possibly can. Right.
Oh yeah.
Because when was I ever going to get another chance to do that? At least for a while. Right. Ben, he's just one of those guys that likes to give opportunities to his guys to hopefully see if they'll make it. He's not one of those promoters that's like, I gotta be the champion, I gotta
Yeah.
beat everybody to hold up the territory, brother. No, you need to be the champion because you're the future of this territory and you might go on to do big things, and we need to see how far you can go. What a blessing that is,
Oh,
right? To
for
have
sure.
somebody like that. And that was the deal with Sammy Guevara and um, Roxanne Perez and all these kind of names. Like he was trying to give them as many opportunities as he could to see where they would go, and still
Oh yeah,
talks to those people to this day, which is amazing.
that is awesome.
Um, yeah, so that's been my experience in a nutshell. It's just beyond incredible.
Yeah.
Just learning from some huge names in this business and
Oh,
getting those big opportunities like that, and hopefully more to come too as well.
oh yeah, most definitely. I know. I've had my my fair share of situations where I gotta sit down and pick the brain of a few people, not having actually got to have them on the show. Some of them were even before the show, but oh god, you brought up Brian Cage. I met him once. I actually very early on in the life of the podcast, I don't even I'm trying to remember because it oh god, I'm looking back, I'm almost 440 episodes in, and I think this was maybe less than 50 episodes in. I got invited to be a part of Warrior Wrestling's Fan Fest when they made a stop in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the matches that night was Jeff Cobb versus at the time going by Jonah, but Bronson Reed.
Nice, nice.
And like I said, very early on in the life of the podcast, thinking, holy crap, I got to at least try and ask some of these guys.
Yeah.
Bronson Reed took the time from like right after the Fan Fest ended to when he had to go back and get his gear on. Gave me said, here we go. I'm like,
Wow.
in my head, I'm like, holy shit. And then at that Fan Fest, and I've ran into this guy a handful of times since, but at the Fan Fest, it was only the second time I've ever seen him, and he was at the table right across from me, Mike Bennett.
Nice.
And I'm telling, dude, I cannot say enough nice things about that dude. Him and his wife. Maria, another class act that I haven't got to meet yet, but I'm hoping. But every single time I've got to meet Mike, man, we have had some of the best talks, and a lot of it had nothing to do with wrestling. Like I remember talking to him all about my little now. Oh God, we're getting close to 18, 19 months now, and showing him and just going on tangents about that. And oh God, who else? Jeff Cobb was nice.
Nice.
Got to pick his brain for a little bit. I mean, off camera, but still, I got to talk to him. And oh God, other people that I've had on from like, I like deathmatch, but there's supporters, detractors. If when it's done right, I like it. I've
Uh-huh.
had one of my personal favorites, John Wayne Murdoch.
Nice.
I got this sent to me by him, so I've been lucky. I've definitely been lucky. But when you were bringing up, sitting under the learning tree and picking the brains of a lot of people, that brought up some memories for me that oh God, and that just actually got me thinking. You brought up when random tangent here. I told you random tangents that happen on
Hey
the.
man, it's cool. You're giving me the opportunity to nerd out about wrestling. Like this is great. Thank you.
But you had mentioned Bray Wyatt and one of the things that got you like into wanting to be in the business. Well, the whole 6 degrees of separation thing, I can actually, in a way, connect the show to Bray Wyatt because one of my I love talking with everybody from the business that I've been able to, but like when I have names like former Ring of Honor 6-man tag champ Dutch, the Righteous. When I had him on, man, that was so much fun because I just literally watched a handful of his Ring of Honor matches.
Nice.
Well, when I forget if it was having posted about having done the recording or whether it was the post I did about the episode releasing, but I'm on my way home from work and all of a sudden I get I'm not going to call it X. It's fucking Twitter. But I get an alert and I didn't recognize the little profile picture on there. So I'm like, I'll check it when I get to a stoplight. I about dropped my phone because it was Bray Wyatt.
Oh man, that's cool.
And I'm like, holy shit. And I literally messaged Dutch right back and I'm like, because at the time I didn't know, but I was like, you're friends with Bray Wyatt? And he talked about, I'm like, that explains so much right now. And I told him I about dropped my phone because I'm like, holy shit. But that also got me thinking of, people talk about in the wrestling business and like celebrities in general, like a celebrity or wrestler death that like affected you. Man, when Bray Wyatt, that because at the time he was not that much younger than myself at that point. And when I heard about how and what happened, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That was one of those moments that, yeah. But on to a brighter note.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I'll just leave with this thought, it's still unbelievable that he passed.
Yeah.
And it's still unbelievable that, Brody Lee, Luke Harper, passed away.
Yeah, that one too.
I still remember seeing the graphic, where he's holding his arms out. He's got the AEW World title. And I was like, oh, man, nice. Because, he had been off TV for a while. And, it said rest in peace. And I said, what? And then, sure enough, going through the feed, it's everywhere. And I showed my friend and he thought I was lying. I was like, I'm not lying, it's real.
No, both of those were very much those that it's like, it's sad that there's like death hoaxes out there.
Yeah.
It's the reality that we're in. But those two were definitely ones that's like, okay, I got to go find a post from WWE,
a legitimate, yeah,
or AEW or some other like news site that's like non-wrestling, because those two were on the non-wrestling news sites. It's like, oh, and then you're like, holy shit, that actually happened.
Yeah. It's still unbelievable.
Oh, for sure. Now, like I said, on to a brighter note. Although this one, the name of the promotion kind of similar in ways to, thinking back to Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family, the cult-like aspect of it. I'm talking about Combat Cult Wrestling. I'm like, man, I kind of like just the name of the damn promotion. That is just, it sounds like name. Something that's like, man, that sounds like it'd be interesting. What has it been like for you there? Much like I asked with a GCWA.
So this one was a little more, I guess, of a personal reason why I like it so much. So they have their shows and they originated in the valley. So they perform like in Westlaco and Mercedes and Donna and like all those like towns, like the border towns, right? And for me, I had always wanted to go there just because I saw some of the guys that were going through there, like Brick Savage and Brick Savage is their champion right now, and I think was their champion at the time. Epidemius Jr. If you've never seen him, he's amazing.
I think I actually have him on the schedule.
Oh, he'll be great. Funny guy. But yeah, just some of the talent they were bringing through there, because in my mind, and Epi was actually the guy who gave me this advice. because I asked him, "What's your best piece of advice?" He said, "Always try to be in the group with the big names.
Mm.
Like always, like if you're selling merch, try to stand next to the people who are the popular names that sell a lot of merch, because then people are going to take a peek at your stuff,
Yeah.
right? And you'll sell
Yeah.
more stuff." So great
Yeah.
advice,
Oh
Epic. Shout
yeah.
out to that guy. But yeah, so Combat Cult started to see, the names that were coming through there. And, I hadn't messaged them just because I was like, man, can I go with those kind of guys? I just didn't have that confidence just yet. And luckily, they actually reached out to me first and said, I think you'd be perfect for this. Turns out where they usually have like their shows is 20 minutes from my girlfriend's family's house,
No kidding.
who had always wanted to go out of their way to see me wrestle. And again, they're not wrestling fans, they just want to support.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, like this would be perfect. We could go wrestle. I have somewhere to sleep at night. I don't have to spend, however many hours driving back home.
Yeah.
I don't have to leave earlier just to make it on time for call time. I can spend the night there, drive 20 minutes over. I'm there at the show. We're ready to go. Right. So, and that's been the experience, and from the day I walked in there, every single person from the promoter all the way down, production, the referees, all the other wrestlers, has just been beyond quality. Like they are just top notch when it comes to what they do. The commentators are coming up to me going, "Hey man, what's some stuff we can say about you? I'm not familiar with your character. What's some notes you can give me?" That's something I hadn't gotten, like, dude,
Yeah.
yes. Like I always say, you have a certain amount of creative control. You always do. That's how people see you in the ring. So you got to get yourself in shape. You got to look good. You got to be, cardio's
Yeah.
got to be there. What you do in your match and what the commentators say about you, what kind of story you're trying to tell through the commentary, right? So this is a place that gave me that opportunity. Some people don't think that way. They're just like,
Nope.
I'm just gonna go do the cool moves and I'm out, right?
Mm.
But this gave me that opportunity to do that. And, I've just been enjoying it. They're a new promotion. They've only been around for about 3 years. And I
I
just
was
hit
gonna
my
say.
3 year. Yeah, I just hit my 3 year anniversary myself. So we're about the same age. So yeah, love it. I'm looking forward to the future. I want to make it like a homestead like promotion that I go to all the time, and try to make it and try to help them get as big as they possibly can through my work and what I do. Right. So
Oh yeah.
it's been amazing. And yeah, you're right. Great name, great logo for sure.
Oh, oh yeah. And oh god, you brought up memories. I've had Brick Savage on, and congratulations to them, because I saw about them getting signed by MLW. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And it just got me thinking of when I had them on was shortly after the clip went viral of, and I actually told them this, that the image I had in my head after watching it was like he looked like he picked the guy up by just one leg and just went and like whipped him around.
Like the Incredible Hulk.
That's what I told him. I had the image in my head of, I forget which Avengers movie it was, but Hulk whipping around Loki like where. Like I had that image in my head when I saw that, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to have them on.
Yeah, I did a tag match against them one time, and my partner, his name is Njpw, so he's a big boy, And I remember in the promo, because I was like, oh my god, this is Brick Savage, like he's like probably like one of if not the top like number one Texas wrestler here. This is a great opportunity. I'm gonna kill it. So I remember in the promo, because Jacob's half Samoan, so he's a big boy himself. And I go, my guy, my Samoan Dragon's bigger than you, and he's stronger than you, and hyping him up. But then fast forward to the event, and I saw Brick, and I was like, yeah, he might be bigger than you, man. Like I don't think I was. Yeah, but Brick is a great dude. Has so much respect for professional wrestling, and the first time I talked to them, I was like, wow, okay, there's guys like this, or people like this that exist, right? That just
Yeah.
have they don't have to, be respectful and cool, but just because they are, it makes them cooler. You know what I mean?
For
For
sure.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I I've joked plenty, but I'm like, man, if I were ever the one standing across the ring, and I saw them coming, looking at me like they were coming after me. I'm like, I'd have the thought in my head of, I hope I brought a change of pants because I'm
They
gonna
told they told Jacob, because Jacob's, again, big boy, he's like 320. And Brick, has this fin. I think he calls it like the 6 9. I don't know what it's called, but it's like you flip the guy up and they fall on their stomach. What's it called? Do you know?
oh God, I can't remember. I
I can't remember the
know
name.
of
You know
what
what I'm
you're
talking
talking
about.
about. I just can't remember the name of it.
We were coming up with the finish, and he tells Jacob like, "I'm gonna hit you with this or whatever." And Jacob goes, "You sure you could pick me up?" And Brick goes, "Well, how much do you weigh?" And he's like, 320. He goes, "Easy. Yeah, I can pick you up." And sure enough, he did. I was like, "Whoa!" Like a child, man. That's some strength right there.
Yeah, Brick is one of those that, yeah, no, I don't know of too many people getting into that ring that he couldn't, or that they couldn't just whip around like Hulk whipping around Loki. Yeah. Oh God, that gets me. Okay, That almost got me on a tangent there about nerding
You're
out on
good.
other stuff. So we're gonna go on to my name game category here, where I name off some people. You give me the first thoughts that pop into your head about them. And I
Sure.
try to theme it towards the guess as much as possible. And one thing I've noticed about, footage and pictures on social media is, man, you got some interesting looking robes on you in some of your stuff. And, I figure each of these people have at least at one point or another been known for some very nice looking robes. Now,
Interesting.
I'll,
Okay.
a couple of them you might not remember the specific time that they were known for it, but I mean, you hear the name, you're gonna know who the heck they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
The first one, I mean, I think everybody's gonna know. You're gonna remember the dang robes this person used to wear. I'm talking about the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
You're saying one or two words or like a
It,
sentence?
first thought that pop in your head doesn't need to necessarily be one or two words.
First thought that comes to my head is just Iron Man.
Yeah.
I was one of those people that didn't get to see Ric Flair at his peak, right? I'm too young for that era. But once I started studying the business and really trying to figure out how good I can possibly get, and looking at heels to influence the character, obviously, right? I want to look at Ric Flair, especially because I'm wearing robes and I got the hair, right? But one thing I would always hear about was Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Ric Flair
Mm.
versus Ricky Steamboat. This is an amazing. They had amazing chemistry, and
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I've never watched one of those matches. Like, let's go back, right? So I watched Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat, Chi-Town Rumble.
Okay.
My God, what a match. God tier match.
Yeah.
That's a match that I can't see. You were talking earlier about stuff you miss, seeing or that you wish they would bring back. The way they did things in that match is just something that I've never seen before in our current era of wrestling or anything that I've
Oh yeah.
watched up to that point. So Ric
Oh yeah.
Flair, Iron Man, my goodness.
Oh
Amazing.
yeah.
Amazing.
Now this next one of my two in here that I'd say for the most part people don't think about robes when they think of this guy, but when you look back, and we're going back to TNA here, the
Mhm.
earlier days when he was actually aligned with Ric Flair for a little bit in the Fortune, AJ Styles.
So that
He
was a
had some
fun
he had some nice looking robes during those days.
that was a fun era. So I was too young to see the Monday Night Wars. So I'm already on the dirt sheets as a teenager looking up like, okay, Monday Night Wars, this was the best era of wrestling, right? And they were talking about or they're talking up, the TNA versus WWE Monday Night Wars.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm gonna stop watching WWE and just gonna watch TNA to try to help out their ratings, right? I'm one viewer, but I gotta help them out.
Yeah.
And AJ Styles was already like, who he was, the phenomenal AJ Styles, and started coming out with the robe with Ric Flair. And I just thought it was like the coolest thing ever. I know people hate that era, but I loved it personally speaking. As a person, I listened to some of his interviews and I go, man, like that's just a guy I want to be like just super kind, very generous, gets pissed off and defends himself when he needs to, which is important for a man to
Oh,
be able to do
oh
for
yeah,
sure. Because he backs up what he says and he's a man about it. You got to be a man in certain situations. That's
oh
just the
yeah,
truth of it, right?
for sure.
So I respect that a lot. Obviously, his in ring talent is bar none.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, a hero of mine specifically, and interesting to see that he's still in the ring helping out future talent. I don't know if you've been seeing some of those images
I
where,
have in some of the
yeah,
places he's gone to help with training different people in various
if
locations.
you're gonna learn, why not learn from literally one of the best to ever do it, right?
Oh
What an
yeah,
opportunity for those guys.
oh yeah, no, absolutely. I know. I actually got to meet him one time when
Guys,
it was in between when he left TNA and when he went over to New Japan. He
mm,
did a handful of independent dates, one of them being here in Omaha, Nebraska. And
nice,
I got a TNA lockdown DVD cover with him on the cover,
sick.
having it signed by him. And he looked at it and he remembered, he was in the lethal lockdown that year. And he's like, God, I hated those matches.
Did he have his long hair yet, or was it still growing at the time?
It it was longer. It was
Nice.
definitely longer because I think by the time he got to New Japan, yeah, it was probably about probably about shoulders.
Yay,
I'd
yay high.
say, but yeah, it was a fun experience.
Nice.
Actually, get because I was front row for that show, so it was like getting to be that close to somebody that's like, TNA, and then going over to you know headline stuff for New Japan and be the leader of the fucking Bullet Club
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shit, man. That something else. Now, next up, a guy that, yeah, definitely had some great robes on this guy. And, you got to think of the glorious one, Robert Roode.
Oh man. Uh can't say enough good things about him. So same thing, same era. I was watching TNA trying to help out with the ratings with my one view and my one TV. And yeah, I think at the time he was still part of Beer Money, if I'm not mistaken.
I think, yeah, at that point, yeah,
Yeah,
beer money
yeah.
was a part of Fortune. And yeah,
Yeah, I was one of the guys that was like, why are they not doing something with I think he was still going by Robert Roode at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
one,
And
Bobby, Robert, yeah, somewhere in there.
yeah, I believe he was still going by Robert Roode, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, because I'm just a young fan, I don't know anything. I thought he was Rick Rude's son. So, he had the
Yeah,
long
I can
hair and
see
the
it. I can
beard,
see it.
right? He's jacked, he's got abs, you know what I mean? But I'm like, man, this second generation talent, like, why are they not doing more with this guy?
Yeah.
And then fast forward a few years where he went by the It Factor, Bobby Roode, finally won the world title, betrayed James Storm to do it with the beer bottle, like just great, great stuff. And I'm glad he's involved in WWE now and doing great things there. They talk really highly about him. Um, yeah, I wish him all the
Oh yeah.
success in what he's doing. Seems
Eh,
seems he's doing well, really well.
Oh yeah. He's doing. He seems to be really enjoying his more backstage role. I do got to say that I know with Tommaso Ciampa now in AEW, we're not gonna get the glorious bombs anymore. But man, those things with Ciampa and Gargano and the random locations and like, oh we get and like right behind him. But oh man, I love
Great song, great song. Have you ever seen the video of like the guys who created that song where it shows them in the background when they're singing it? they're like raising their arms and they're jumping up and yeah. I mean, like they look like they're having fun singing the song. It's great.
You know what? I don't think I'm gonna need to look that up. I don't think I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's on YouTube somewhere. I
Oh,
remember it
probably.
was around that time period.
Yeah, I got to find it now. You know what? This one I even a little bit forgot about the specific era where this guy had some good robes until looking up pictures, and it was actually his son wearing one of those robes. That I'm like, holy crap! Yeah, the American Dream,
Mm,
Dusty Rhodes.
mm. Yeah, another influence. And I wish he's one of the guys that I wish I got to meet
Oh,
before he
totally,
passed away. And I
totally.
have a list of those kind of people, but I
Thank
think
you.
he would probably be maybe like number one. I wish I got to meet him just because of the stories that you hear about him.
Oh yeah.
He was the guy that really influenced me as far as about connecting through a promo. Hard
Oh God,
times, baby. Hard
masterclass
times,
cutting
baby.
promos in the. Oh God, I just watched the video of Cody talking about him cutting promos on lettuce in the grocery store.
Oh wow, yeah. One of my favorite stories is that they used to talk about when he ran WCW, and I don't know if they were still part of the NWA at the time, but he was running WCW. He was in the management part of it, and he'd be at his office, doing whatever he was doing, manager work, and he'd be in there with somebody else. And production guy would come and they would go, "Hey, Dusty, we need you to cut a promo for whatever." And he'd go, "Oh, I'll be right there, baby." Blah, 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 write something. Gets up, all right, I'll be right back. Took off the shirt, put on the cowboy hat, went, killed it on a promo, just off the cuff, killed it on a promo, walked his way back to the office and was like, all right, let me finish up this. Like, just amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Just a flip of the switch. Like, just
No.
super
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Hard Times promo was one of those that made me go, okay, cool. Like, now I understand what they mean when they say you form a connection with the audience. Cause who
Yeah.
doesn't, relate to that promo?
Oh,
Who
for
doesn't
sure.
love, who doesn't love Dusty Rhodes after that?
Oh God. Yeah. No, I definitely on that list myself for people I wish I got the chance to meet. I mean, heck, Cody himself is still one of those that is on that list that, I mean, he's still alive, but, I haven't got to meet him yet.
Yeah.
But the, okay, I try not to talk about it too much anymore, but I got a little bit of a personal connection with this story involving Cody and Dusty. It involves the documentary they did when Cody first came back to WWE, and he was talking about the time when his father was passing away, and talking about it not being like in the movies or on TV where it seems like it goes quick. No, you're like in and out of the hospital, practically memorizing the floor plan. Well, my wife and I were pregnant with twin girls back in 22. They, long story short, born premature, only made it a week,
Mm.
but that entire week, in and out of I saved up what I didn't even think anything other than they were coming home. So I didn't use my PTO. I'll go back to work. I went to work, came home to check on my wife and the dogs, right to the hospital just to come back, go to bed, and do it all over again the next day. That entire week. I kid you not, I could literally drive over to that hospital and walk right to where their NICU rooms were without even thinking about it to this day. And we're almost 4 years later.
Oh man.
And it's like there's that part of me that I've told this to many people that I'm like, man, I want to meet Cody just to tell him how much that particular part of that documentary like just hit home.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe one of these days, who knows? We'll see. But on to my next category here. Again, on to a more brighter note here. But some random questions, some wrestling related, some not. That's why it's random. Some of these questions nothing to do with anything we've talked about yet. So, first question I have: craziest in-match moment for yourself.
Well, I think I kind of already touched base on it. I didn't
You,
know I was
oh,
going to
yeah.
win the title. That
No,
was
that one, yeah, that would fit.
yeah, I think that would be the craziest because I walked and I remember I'll give you a little more backstory since I didn't talk too much about it, but before I went out, I'm getting amped. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm just like, let's do this. Let's gonna be great. And everybody just kept coming up to me and shaking my hand, and they were like, "Hey, good luck out there." Okay, cool. Someone else, hey man, just wanted to tell you good luck out there. Hey, great. I'm like, man, everybody here
After
is
a
so
while, yeah, you're like,
nice.
wait, what?
I was like, everybody here is so nice. Like they're going out of their way to tell me good luck.
Yeah,
Like, what's
yeah,
the big deal, And even the guy who was supposedly going to win, Ricky, I told him, I said, hey man, I just wanted to say congratulations. You earned this. You worked your butt off, and he just kind of gave me the, yeah, thanks, no problem, because he knew, like, everybody knew. I was the only one that didn't know. Um, so yeah, that has to be the craziest because even afterward, my heart was like beating so hard. I was like, cannot believe this happened. Like, what is going on? Why do I have this belt right now?
yeah.
This is insane. And then they pull me to the side, hey, cut a promo. And I cut a promo and I was like, man, like craziness, just absolute craziness.
That funny enough, there is a guy here local to me that it was very similar, where multi-person match. I don't know if I don't think, as far as I know, they didn't know they were winning. I don't know who he thought was going to win it, but what happened was the person that was champion at the time ended up having to they chased somebody off, like they big bad heel guy have to go chase him off because he did whatever it was.
Yeah.
And from the story I remember was he didn't know that he was winning until he hits his finisher, goes for the pin, and before much like in your situation, much as soon the ref hadn't even finished the count, the guy that he was pinning just looks up and says, "You're winning." And
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sad.
yeah, it was like when you mentioned that, I'm like, oh man, that reminds me of
I
that.
wonder if that's more common than I think. I wonder how often that happens.
I wouldn't be surprised
Me
if
neither.
I would not be surprised if it happens. I wouldn't. I don't want to say frequently, but yeah, I'm probably not going to be surprised that you and them. There's a few more people out there that kind of have something similar in common. Would not be
Yeah.
surprised. Not taking away from the awesomeness of the moment.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Now, this next question I have, kind of similar, kind of not, but crazy stories from news reporting, because I mean we've all seen the blooper reel videos of somebody for a live shot, they're out and then all of a sudden somebody does something goofy behind them, or somebody screams something goofy, or some goofy shit just happens and they just
Yeah.
have to be like, wait, what? Has anything like that ever happened to you?
I have two. I have
Oh
one.
God. Okay. We gotta go.
So I have one that's just ridiculous and funny, and then I have one that's kind of sad. Which would you prefer?
I kind of want both, but I don't know what. I don't
I'll tell
know.
them both if you like.
Yeah, let's go. You know what? Much like I talk about moving on to happier. How about we go with the crazy funny one last?
Okay. Okay. So I had a day where it was just a slow news day. Nothing's going on. I'm hey, great. When it's a slow news day, I get to go home early and go play video games and hang out with my dog. Like that's my
Hey,
day.
yeah.
Right. So I was looking forward to it. All right, great. It's 4 o'clock. My shift ends at 6 usually. But if nothing's going on, I get to leave at 4. Great.
Hey.
Awesome. Cool. I believe it was a Friday too, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I had just got back to the station, and the manager's like, "Hey, Fernando, you all good? You're good to go home? Okay, great. See you later." Shook everybody's hand. All right, literally had my hand on the door. Somebody's running with a piece of paper. Fernando, you need to go to blah 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 blah. What? Yeah, go go go. Well, what's happening? I don't know. They're just telling me to tell you go over there right now. It was a middle school.
Oh,
Okay. Or it was in front, it was a neighborhood in front of a middle school,
okay.
right? So I'm like, okay, what could this be? So I'm driving and somebody calls me and I'm like, hey, what's the story? Oh, I don't know yet. They just want you to set up. You're gonna have a live shot. Mike's gonna be there. He's gonna have the lights on you, this and that or the other. Make sure you're there to do your mic checks. And I'm driving, I'm like, well, what the hell's going on? Yeah, plans are changing. You're going live. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. You're gonna, whatever. What's the story? Oh, I don't know. Let me find out for you. I'll call you back. No one ever calls me back. I get to the area, and you would have never thought anything was going on. Like the street is quiet. The school is quiet. Like it just, I was
Yeah.
like, what the hell is the story? Like, what's going on? I go to the spot where I'm supposed to be. Mike, who's the photog, comes up to me and he goes, hey, so what's the story? I go, I don't know. Like, what's going on? Dude, you're going on in 10 minutes. You don't know what your story is? Yeah, I don't know what my story is. Can you find out what it is? He's calling, no one's answering. I'm calling, no one's answering. 5 minutes out, I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And finally, one of the managers calls me. He goes, all right, Fernando, we got all the information. Like, you ready for this? Make sure you start writing some notes down. 5 minutes out from going live. And I go, what's the story? He goes, no one told you? No, what happened? Basically, what happened was this woman who was a teacher, was in a rush to school. And unfortunately, she was supposed to make a stop at her daycare nearby with her baby in the back seat. And, she was late, parked the car, ran inside, forgot about the baby.
God, I like
Yeah.
you getting in there. I'm like, oh God, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've heard the story, and I hate to make it relate to this, but I've always related to it for that reason. There's a story with JR when he gives the call that Owen Hart died.
Oh,
No one's given us the update. What's the update? Kevin Dunn goes, "Oh, Owen's dead. You're going on in 10." Not. It was almost exactly like that.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, very eerily similar.
Yeah. So that was it. 2 minutes out. Here's the information. Here's what they're saying. Here's what happened to her.
Oh man.
Go. She remembered the baby, I think halfway through her shift. So, school starts at what, like 8 a.m. She didn't remember the baby until like 1 p.m.
Oh,
Ran out, they got the baby, took it in the nurse's office, did CPR or whatever they could, but I mean it was too late,
mm,
man. And
uh,
they said the skin was, like boiled off essentially. And I had to make that call. I had to
ugh.
basically be the one to, this is what happened.
Oh,
And it was supposed to be it was supposed to be a shift where I was going to go home early, and
yeah.
then
Wow.
and then I ended up working, the rest of the day trying to get more information, and it was a lot. Yeah. And
Yeah. No,
yeah,
that's a heavy one.
it was heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to go into a more lighter note of
Yeah.
the funny story, kind of a similar situation. I was getting ready to be done with the day. This time I wasn't leaving early. I just finished all my stories. I already went live, easy day. All right, guys, see y'all later. Shake hands, whatever. Have my hand on the doorknob. Fernando, you got to get down to, wherever they told me to go. What's happening? they were transferring an inmate in an ambulance, and he stole the ambulance.
Oh God.
What? What? Get your camera, go down, try to see if you can get the ambulance on camera. That's all we need. So I get in my niece's
Oh.
car, my stuff's still in there. I drove as fast as I could, and I'm on the highway. And in Corpus Christi, there's one highway. You go this way or you go that way, that or the back way, right? That's the only way to do it. And I'm driving, and I'm just trying to like, where do I gotta see an ambulance somewhere? This side of the road is dead. All of a sudden I see a crap load of lights on the other side of the highway.
Oh no.
Like, dude, there's the ambulance going like 100 miles an hour. And I swear to God, like 15 to 20 cop cars all following the ambulance. And it was literally just like, shit. So I got to find a way to get off, either turn around, whatever. And my phone is blowing up. Hey, do you see him yet? Yes, I just passed him. Oh my God. Where is he? What are they doing? I don't know. I'm trying to turn around. Someone else is calling me. Hey, Fernando, where are you at? Oh my God, I just saw him. So he drove all the way downtown to the hospital and surrendered. They surrounded him with the guns out and everything. He had his hands up, got on both knees, and they took him inside. But I'll never forget that day because I saw the ambulance just passing by me, and I was like, shit, what do I do? How do I get around to go get it on camera?
Oh wow.
Because getting on camera is everything. You know what I mean? You want to be the first one to get that moment on camera.
Oh
Because
yeah.
here it's kind of like we're WWE, and then there's another company. They're like WCW, or I guess in this instance AEW, right? So
Yeah.
there's two major news networks here in Corpus, and they're competing against each other all the time. So you always want to be the first one to get that on camera.
Oh God.
Always.
Now you got me thinking of Anchorman and the news anchor wars.
Yeah.
Where did you get your at the toilet store? God. Oh God, now I'm gonna go on an Anchorman tangent. All right. Well, before I go on that, because Lord knows we're gonna go on. I could go on for a little bit there. So, with the name of a show like I feel like I have to ask this one: favorite drink, alcoholic or otherwise, or shit, both if you want.
Favorite alcoholic drink is just a nice cold dressed Dos Equis.
Dos Equis. I am a fan of Dos Equis.
Oh yeah, especially after a match when your muscles are sore and your neck's all banged up and your back is hurting, elbows are hurting. There's just something about a nice dressed Dos Equis that just takes all the pain away. So that'll be my favorite alcoholic beverage. For a favorite regular beverage, if I want to treat myself with a soda, nice Dr. Pepper is always great.
Oh, dude, I'm a Dr. Pepper fiend.
I love Dr. Pepper. There's a Dr. Pepper museum in Waco here in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And my girlfriend is like, we are going for your birthday. We have to go. And I'm like, sign me up. Let's do it.
Dude. Yeah, no, if I got told, hey, we're going to go down for that, I'm like, oh, dude, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. Actually, we're talking about the new stuff. I didn't get to do the story, but one of my friends did a story on this woman here in Corpus Christi actually won a lifetime supply of Dr. Pepper. Yeah,
by going jealous.
Yeah, I know, right? And everybody was making, because they know I love Dr. Pepper. They were like, hey, Fernando, you just got to make one trip over there, man. Just ask her, hey, nicely, at least half. Can I have at least half? Like, come on, something.
Yeah, you got to have a stash laying around. How about a little bit of it?
You don't need that much. I mean, come on. I'm right here. I can help you.
You get a lifetime supply. You're gonna have a lot more. You can give me a little bit.
Yup.
Oh man, heck, I was drinking a diet one while we're sitting here.
Diet Dr. Pepper's good too.
Oh man, my wife likes to tell me I got a problem. I tell her, hey, as long as I got some in the house, I don't got a problem. It's figured out.
Yeah, it ain't a problem till I run out. Exactly.
Yep, ain't a problem till I run out. All right. Now, last but not least here, best advice you have for anybody wanting to make that leap into the business.
I have a couple. So, especially with like the newer students, you gotta I got to sit them down sometimes and let them know, like, hey, first thing you need to know about wrestling is this stuff is not fair. It's not. Just because you love wrestling and you've been watching it since you were a little kid and you dedicated your life to it and you work your ass off and you're doing everything you can to make it to that next level, first of all, it doesn't mean you're going to, and doesn't mean that somebody who doesn't love it as much as you or doesn't love it at all is not going to do better than you. That's just the nature of pro wrestling.
Oh,
It's
very
just not fair. That's the
okay.
first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is if you're looking for a place or if you're looking for a business where you can half-ass it and just
Oh
get
yeah,
by,
pro
give
wrestling ain't that. Yeah.
80%, give 80%, this isn't the business for you.
Hmm.
This is an aesthetic business. This is a business where people make judgments off of a first judge a book by a cover. That's the in other areas of society, you're not supposed to do that. In wrestling, that is
Wrestling,
what it
that's very
is.
much. Yep.
That is what it is.
Mm.
Third piece of advice would be, especially if you're trying to get into the business, remember that training doesn't stop when
Mm.
you leave training.
Oh yeah.
Training is 24/7, 7 days a week. Soon as you leave that gym, all the way till you get back to that gym, you need to be studying promos. You need to be studying matches. You need to be working on your body. If you're watching a movie and you hear a funny line for a promo, write that shit down as quickly as you can before your
Mm.
brain forgets it. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you think of a good idea for a spot, you write that shit down before your brain forgets it. It does not stop. It will never stop.
Oh yeah.
And if you're looking for a business where you don't always have to put in that kind of effort, this is not the business for you. It's just not.
Yep.
Um, I would say, I would say those are my top three.
Oh
I
yeah.
think those are
No.
pretty good ones. Yeah, those are pretty.
Very,
I could go on forever, but I think
oh
those
yeah.
would be top
Oh,
three for sure.
I'm sure. Yeah. No. And all great advice because yeah, it's definitely a business where it's an ever evolving process. You never stop learning new stuff. There's always somebody that's been to a level that you haven't been to yet
Yeah,
that they've learned from that. They can pass that on, and then you can return it, and always
yeah.
always a lot to learn throughout your entire career. So
Can I actually drop one more? Actually,
oh,
one
absolutely,
more. I just
absolutely.
thought of this. Always be easy to work with.
Mm,
Because there are some people, again, not naming names, that are just
yeah.
really set on like I have to hit this one move or I got to say this one thing or I have to do. Be easy to work with.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna set you. People are always gonna want to work with somebody who's easier to work with.
Oh yeah.
That you got to keep those consistent bookings, especially if you're just starting out. Try to get in as many reps in as you possibly can.
Oh, for sure.
And if someone like The Undertaker, who's been doing it for 40 years, says, hey, you never stop learning in this business, guess what? You never stop learning in the business.
Stop. Yeah.
So don't have a mindset of like I know everything, just be a student always. And also just remember we live in the best era of wrestling ever.
Mm,
The WWE champion, literally the top guy in all of professional wrestling, has a podcast that you can listen to anytime where he gives out advice. The daughter of the former chairman of WWE has her own podcast where she talks
mhm,
about what WWE is looking for. There's shows like WWE Evolve where Gabe Sapolsky, who is
mhm.
the talent scout for that, has guys on there that are giving out advice or gives out what they're looking for in a WWE
Sure.
talent. We're not tape traders anymore. You don't got to tape trade with anybody across the country. You can simply pull out your phone and look up any YouTube video, jump on Netflix and look up any archive, Peacock, watch any documentary. We live in the absolute best time in wrestling. Don't let what people are saying on the internet fool you. It's an amazing time. So,
Oh, that combined with all the independent streaming services,
my God, yeah,
yeah, there's so much to watch. It is literally impossible to keep up with every single bit of it, which makes it an awesome time to be a fan because if you can't find something that you enjoy out of the plethora of stuff that's out there, you're just not looking hard enough.
yeah, yep, absolutely,
For sure.
absolutely.
Now, Before we go, where can people find you social media wise? So if they don't already have their eyes on you, they can go ahead and get them there.
So I'm trying to fluff up my TikTok, starting to post more a little bit more on there. So you can find me at Fernand, the number zero, so like Fernando, but the number zero at the end, the Fern. So Fernando the Fern on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram at OnlyFerns1. So like only fans, but only
Ah,
ferns one. Should be easy for my men to remember. And then of course on Facebook, Don Fernando. That will be my social media. Yep.
definitely get all of that in the description. I'll admit TikTok is probably one of my more neglected platforms.
Same.
I keep on trying to come up with ideas of short form stuff to put on there, but then I just never get around to it. But like I said, we'll get all of that in the description. I want to tank about tank. Wow. I just need to go get a drink. I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me, and I've been an absolute pleasure, and you are welcome back anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the time, the opportunity, and just for being a wrestling fan, giving me the opportunity to nerd about wrestling for how long have we been on? About an hour and some change. So
About an hour or so, maybe a little
yeah,
over.
this is a rare opportunity for me to be a nerd. So thank you for that, and wish you all the best. And yeah, I'll be back anytime. Thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate it.
My issue with this fucking button. I'm trying to make sure